William James noticed something troubling about the people around him in late 19th century America. They were tense. Not just occasionally tense, not just tense under pressure, but chronically, habitually, needlessly tense. They carried their muscles contracted and their minds coiled even when nothing actually threatening was happening. They approached a pleasant dinner party the way a soldier approaches enemy fire. They worried while they rested. They strained while they waited. James decided this deserved a lecture, and in 1899 he delivered one of the most practically useful talks of his career, which he titled The Gospel of Relaxation. James opened with a diagnosis. He called the American national character a bottled lightning quality, a restless, over-effortful approach to everything. Europeans, he noted with some amusement, often described Americans as exhausting to be around. Not because Americans worked harder in any productive sense, but because they brought unnecessary urgency to tasks that did not require it. They wrote letters as if composing military dispatches. They ate breakfast as though being timed. They conversed at a pitch of excitement appropriate to catastrophe but applied to ordinary life. James traced this to habit. He had already argued in his work on habit that the nervous system becomes shaped by repetition. What we do repeatedly, we do automatically. Most Americans, James observed, had repeated patterns of unnecessary tension so many times that the tension had become invisible to them. They no longer felt it as strain. They simply felt it as themselves. The deeper mechanism, James explained, involves the relationship between feeling and bodily state that he had already explored in his theory of emotion. If the body produces fear responses, tight muscles, shallow breathing, elevated heart rate, the mind experiences fear, regardless of whether any actual threat is present. By the same logic, a body held in chronic tension produces something like chronic low-grade anxiety. The strain is not the response to stress. The strain is producing its own stress, from the inside. His prescription was practical. He recommended deliberate cultivation of what he called the gospel of relaxation, learning to let the muscles go soft when they do not need to be active, to allow the jaw and the shoulders and the hands to be still when there is no reason for them to be otherwise. He was specific. Let the face go. Notice if you are gripping the pen harder than the task requires. Notice if you are holding your breath. Notice the unnecessary effort and release it. This sounds simple, but James was clear that it requires genuine practice. The body has habits just as the mind does, and the habit of unnecessary tension cannot be broken by a single act of will. It requires patient, repeated attention over time. He compared it to learning any other skill: music, sport, craft. You practice ease the way you practice scales. You repeat the relaxed state until it begins to feel as natural as the tense one once did. James also addressed the common anxiety that relaxation equals laziness or loss of drive. He argued the opposite. The person who works with genuine ease and absence of unnecessary strain accomplishes more than the person who works with grinding intensity. The tense worker is spending energy on the tension itself, energy that produces no useful output. The relaxed worker directs all available energy toward the actual task. Efficiency is not straining harder. It is straining only as much as the work requires. He pointed to artists, craftspeople, and athletes who performed at the highest levels with an apparent ease that beginners found almost offensive. It looked too simple, too effortless. But this ease was the achievement, not despite the mastery but because of it. Mastery involves learning which efforts are necessary and which are not, and then releasing the unnecessary ones. Modern neuroscience and performance psychology have confirmed James's intuitions in remarkable detail. We now know that chronic stress elevates cortisol in ways that impair memory, decision-making, and immune function. We know that the relaxation response, a phrase coined by Herbert Benson a century after James, produces measurable physiological changes that restore cognitive and physical performance. We know that top performers in competitive domains show lower physiological arousal, not higher, during peak performance. The anxious competitor is wasting resources the calm one can use. For James, the gospel of relaxation was not merely a health tip. It was connected to his deeper philosophical commitments about how human beings should inhabit their lives. He believed that chronic unnecessary tension was a form of disrespect toward the present moment, a refusal to be actually here, in this situation, responding to what is actually happening. The tense person is always bracing for a threat that has not arrived. The relaxed person is available to what is real. If James were alive today, he would find our era familiar. The devices that promise connection deliver anxiety. The economy of attention rewards urgency. The culture of productivity worships strain. He would say, as he said in 1899, that we have confused effort with effectiveness, that we have made a virtue of tension and a vice of ease, and that this is precisely backwards. Learn to work without unnecessary grip. Let the face go. Breathe. The work will be better, and so will you. Subscribe to The Psychology of William James to explore more of his timeless ideas.